Hello, everyone. This session is more about the non-functional or non-functional aspects of Codebeamer. And as you see here, we will quickly go through these non-functional requirements or non-functional capabilities of Codebeamer. And the very first one is about consistency. And what I want to say about consistency is this, that in Codebeamer, whenever you work on any project, the projects are created using a template. Like for example, in if I'm working in an organization, what I do is this, that I go and create a project, and this project you choose a template. Suppose if you are working in automotive industry, and if you're developing an ECU or DCU in the automotive industry, you will be selecting automotive template that is typically ISO 26262 or 26 or 21448 or 21434, depending upon what is that which you're working on. In the similar way, if you're working in MedDev, then you will have a MedDev template. The whole idea is this, that since you work using a template, you get a predefined framework in which you work. So therefore, all of your project will follow that template, and therefore they will be consistent with each other. So that is the key part on the consistency, because you typically use a template, and typically you should maintain standard templates across the organization so that, and for different purposes. So therefore, so that you can maintain consistency. The second thing is about intuitiveness. The other advantage of template is this, that suppose if I go and create a project using ISO 26262, what will happen is I'm not creating it, but I've already existing projects. I will just show you, like this project was created using 26262. Now, whenever you create a project using a template, you get a predefined trackers. Now, just in a very layman terms, these trackers are like folders. So therefore, just think like this, like you are logging into a project where you have predefined folders. Now, for example, item definition, and then you can go and create a lot of work items, like in this case, 25 work items are created, out of which 21 are like in a approved or matured state. The same way, the functional safety concept, there are 4 functional safety concepts and so on. Now, for example, if I go inside this, so therefore, as an end user, I will select what I'm working on and then go deeper, and then I create these work items. So therefore, it becomes very intuitive, like, when you log in into the project, you see folders, and then you know where you are going to work, because all these folders have access control. Like if I'm a requirement manager, then I will have, or if I'm a system engineer, then I will have access to this system engineer. But if I'm a domain engineer, like a software developer, then I will have access to software requirement or software spec and so on, right? So therefore, it depends upon which area, what is your role, and in which area you're working, and you will get these folders. So that's one way to see that the intuitiveness, because when you log in, you have a direction what you have to do. Now, suppose in my case, suppose if I'm going to work on item definition, therefore, when I double click here, I get this item definition menu where all these are item definition. It is hierarchically organized on the left side on the tree. And in the middle bar, you see that there's more details in it. Therefore, if I want to edit this, I just go here. Sorry, this is for comment. I go here and I just cancel this. I go here and click edit, but right now I don't have permission in this project. Therefore, I don't see an edit option here. Therefore, let me just move to a different project where I have an edit option. Therefore, I go to, suppose, for example, since I picked automotive, let me just pick something which is automotive related. Suppose if I pick this one. Now, in this, again, as I said, since consistency, because since this is also created using the same template, I see the same thing. Now I go to item definition. Now under item definition, I can go and create a new requirement because I am in the item definition, and then I create, suppose, item definition 1, for example, right? And then I give the description here. This is for description field. Now, when it comes to intuitiveness, if you see here, like, you see very minimum number of menu items. And now if I want to edit, I just click here and click edit, and I can edit this again, and I can save it. So therefore, the UI is very well organized. That is, you have three layers or 3 panels here. And whatever you want to do on the left hand side is the tree, like, it's like a table of content which you're seeing. And then here in the middle, it's a working space where you are editing it. So this is just one view. Suppose there are a lot of requirements, like as I showed in the last project. Therefore, let me go back to the last project again, which was a template project. Now, if I go in this project, since I have a lot of item definitions here, now in this case, I want to see a tabular view. Therefore, this is a normal view. What we call it as like a working view. But this is an editing view when you want to edit. Therefore, you can click this and then you have a tabular view. Now, suppose when I want to see this complete list in a table, therefore the same list which I was seeing in a hierarchical way, now I'm seeing in a tabular view. Now, why I'm saying this is a bit intuitive in nature, because if I click any one of them, the layout, the UI layout, and everything remains the same. Therefore, it makes it like, once you get accustomed, like, everywhere you will see a tabular view, a document view, and a document edit view. You will see a Kanban board, and you will see the test coverage if it is a requirement or if it is anything on the upstream side. And then you will have a traceability browser. These are the things which you use very commonly, and it is all available here. The second thing about intuitiveness is that, when you're looking at these things, and when I scroll like this, I have so many requirements here, right? Therefore, I definitely need some filter or something, and those are also available here. I can, always click here and see that filter by status, and then I can just say what status I want to filter. I want to see only like, only in progress item, for example. So I can just click here and say go, and then I just see the in progress item, which is slightly smaller in the list, and so on. The other thing is that, for every item which you see here, like you have this menu, and then it's not very cluttered here, but if you just move your mouse here, you see the upstream, downstream, and you see the downstream items here. Apart from it, you will see this triple dot in every menu item, and this triple dot has got a lot of other things, other actions which you can perform on each of your requirement. So that's all makes it very intuitive, because the UI doesn't have any more actions than what you're seeing in this UI itself. And these tabs are exactly the same for all other trackers. Like if I go back, suppose if I click here, system requirement spec, again, it's the same thing. You have this left panel, this panel, and then you have the tabular view, document view, the edit view, the Kanban view, and the test coverage and the traceability browser. So that is what it makes it a bit intuitive, because it's a very common UI which is across all the trackers, and trackers, as I said, is like a folder. So therefore, your folder structure is consistent because you're using a template. Other thing is, see, for editing it, like whenever I edit anything, I need a rich editor to make some edit. Therefore, let me go back to a project where I have an access. Therefore, I go back to suppose one of these projects. Now, when I work on any of this tracker, suppose I just created a functional item definition, you have this edit, and you also have a Word document edit. Like, you can edit in a Word document and then bring the content here. So that makes the content very rich, because eventually you want to cut and paste pictures and so on. But having said that, you can do all those activities in this window itself. You can cut, copy, paste, and then there are a lot of menu items here for formatting, through which you can achieve the rich format. There's also advanced options through which you can also insert diagrams. You can insert flow charts and all that. So you can also do it here. You can also add URLs. You can add attachments and so on. All in these few windows. Again, the same view, this window you will see in every tracker. Therefore, it's not that they keep changing. It's very consistent, and it is only these many. Therefore, these are the editor tools which you get. But I would also suggest to use a Word document in case if you want very rich Word document format. So that is on the rich editor. Test coverage. For test coverage, it's very important from the point of view, like whenever you have requirements, you would like to see the test coverage. And again, for this, let me go to an existing project to pull the data so that I don't need to create the data now. And I go to this project. Now, in this project, when I go to any tracker, like especially the tracker on the requirement side, therefore I go and pick, suppose in this case, software design spec. Now I have got some 4 software design spec, and for every spec, I have actually created a test case. Therefore, I wanted to pick this one so that it's easy for me to show you the test coverage. And for each of this test coverage, I've also did some test runs so that you have some good statistics to see in this. Therefore, when I select this and I go and say, show me the test coverage, this is the test coverage. It will show me this window where it shows me that, okay, this is the one which I selected, software design spec, and I want to see the test cases and want to see the test runs. That is what is giving me the test coverage. So what you see here, there were only 4 requirements what we saw. Now for all the 4 requirements, I have a test case, therefore it is 100% covered. Then there's nothing incomplete there because all the test case are also executed. There were their test runs, and some of the test runs are passed, some are partially passed, some are failed, and some are blocked. So that is what is the statistics shows here. Now, if I expand it here, it will show me all the 4 requirements, and then when I expand each of these requirements, it will show me that subsequent or the below test cases. And then for each of this test case, it says, that there's a test run. Like for example, for this requirement, there's a test run, and for this test run, this is the status. Like it is partially passed. In the next case, it was failed. The other one was passed, and the other one was blocked. And then it shows me the run here. Since I am the admin and I just executed with my ID and without assigning anybody any test cases and so on, it shows me here blank. But wherever I have done some assignments, it will show the name of the person who has executed the test case. But in my case, I just logged in and I did not assign anyone. I just executed next, next, next and completed the test case or the test runs. That's why it is not showing my name here. Otherwise, this is how the test coverage looks like. You can save this so that you can reuse it next time. Therefore, this is what I just clicked. This is the default one. And in the default one, you have a lot of other things like you are doing from software requirement. Whereas the one which I did was the one which I selected, that is SDS. So this is on the coverage. Then comes a reusability. In case of reusability, like you will definitely like to reuse many of your requirements because there will be a lot of commonality between projects and you would like to borrow requirements. So what to do is in such cases is this, that suppose I pick this automotive blank project. Now I go to this tracker and now like again, if you see here, this is a different template. Now in this, I want to, want to copy a specification from a different project. So I go and click here. Now this is the tab where you see all the other projects. If you're not seeing your projects, you can just click here and you can select what all projects you want to see in this place, provided you also have an access. Now in this project, I can go to some other project from here. Like right now, I'm in Amit demo, auto demo, and then I'm going to Amit PAS project demo, a different project. And now from that project, I have specifications. Therefore, I'm not sure whether there is a specific, oh, there are some specifications here. Now I want to go and copy this or reuse this. It's as simple as this. I just come and pick from a different project from project A and drop it to project B. Now I have two options. Either I make a clone of it in my target, or I can just make a reference. So right now I'm just saying that okay, I want to make a copy of this. Now the problem is this, it says that okay, in your other project you have all these attributes which you don't have in this project. Like in my source project, I have all these attributes which are not there for specification in this target. What do you want to do? I can just ignore all of them, or I can map them with something which I have like subject, reach, coverage, but this all will be wrong because they all are not relevant. So I will not select anything and I will just ignore it and then I'll just say okay. So what I did is in this process, I just made a copy of it. And whenever I make a copy of it, it will show me that there's a copy which you made it from here. So therefore you can either, whenever you drag and drop, you either can choose like, you want to reuse. When you say reuse, that means it will not make a clone, but it will refer to the one which is already in the source. But in this case, I opted for copy, and that's why it has cloned it and it has made a requirement here. And the other way to verify is this, that if you see this number 5770 and the number here is different, it is 5809 because it's a clone version of this. That means if I change this, it will not create a suspect option on the target where I try to clone it. So that is on on the regarding the reuse. Traceability is a very important aspect because you would like to create traceability from a requirement till validation. Now again, here I'll just pick up some other project and show you this. Sorry, let me pick some other project and show you. Therefore, if I go here, if I go to project like a MedDev temp, for example, this one. I've already created some little bit of a longer traceability just to show you like the 4 or 5 levels. Therefore, again, this is the trackers. And in this, suppose if I go to anyone, I can actually go to anyone because I'm going to show you a saved option. Therefore, if I go to traceability browser here, in the traceability browser, I have got this initial filters level 1, and then I can add level 2, level 3, level 4, so on. Therefore, I'm not going to add all these things instead. And whenever I add also, after adding, I can just save it. I've already done some save predefined saves. Therefore, I'll just pick them and show you. Like for example, like in this case, a demo risks. Here what I did is I selected initial filter as harm, hazard, and hazardous situations. This is more from medical device perspective, and then you do the risk analysis evaluation, then you do the risk control, and then you do the system product risk mitigations. Because you have some risk control measures, and based on that you do this. So therefore, if you see here, this is how the traceability will look like. It will show you, it will automatically pick up all this traceability based on the system's linkages which is built in. And as you see here, like for this broken strip, okay, this was the initial hazard situation based on which you had this risk identified. And for this risk, you have some risk control measures defined. And for this risk control measures, for whatever reason, probably the RPN may be less, you don't have any mitigation requirements here, and therefore you don't have a software or hardware requirements and so on. So like this, you can have traceability browsers, traceability views. And I can show you one more, which is like suppose MedDev trace view here. In this case, what I'm doing is from system architecture, software architecture, I'm just trying to see the view model. And in this case, there are a lot of system requirements, system architecture, where there is no software architecture, for example. Okay, there's nothing linked there, and so on. And then there are some software architecture for which you don't have a software design spec. Okay, and so on. Therefore, just FYI on this, this is how you see the traceability browser. Now, when you're looking at this traceability browser, you can also minimize this view. Just click here, it gets minimized so that you just see this. But in order to see what traceability you're seeing, or if you want to edit, you can just maximize this and you can see the traceability. This is available for anything. Therefore, in a normal project, you will see a lot of views here. Like some views will be from user requirement to software development design spec. Some will be from user requirement spec to system architecture, to software architecture, to software design spec, and different ways, like the way you want to see. Some will be specifically for ISO 14971, which is more from the risk management perspective, and so on. So therefore, you can create traceability the way you want, and the way you want to see the traceability views. So you can create different views, and then then it's much easy to go and just click and see the report or see the traceability what you have built for your project. Apart from it, in MedDev or even in automotive, they will export this to archive it also, or to review and so on. So therefore, you can export this traceability. It comes in Excel in a similar format. This will be column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4, and you will see the traceability in the Excel. So this is on traceability. Then the next is on the baseline. Therefore, for baseline, you have two options. Like if I like right now I'm in this project, like medical software engineering template, I can go to admin, and in admin I have an option to, not admin, in the project itself, I have an option here, baseline. So in this, what I'm doing is I'm baselining a project. So that means, suppose if I go to this suppose V model, and suppose if for this V model, I have a lot of work items. Like for SRS, I've created 3 work items. For hardware requirement, I've created 3 work items. What I can do is I can take the complete snapshot of this whole project. This is like a baseline 1 on today's date. For example, after 1 month or after a different milestone, I go and create another baseline 2. And typically you will have definitions like to create a baseline here, to baseline here, and baseline here, and so on. Therefore, at each milestone, you can just go and create a baseline. It means you're creating a snapshot of the complete project. That is in this case. Now, suppose if I want to do this is at a project level, but you can also create baseline at a tracker level. Suppose if I go to system requirements. Now, in the system requirements also, you can go and click this timeline. where you can create a baseline. What it means is this system requirement has got 8 requirements. That means you're baselining this 8 requirements for as of today's date. That means suppose if I'm picking up this system requirement spec, I'm creating a baseline for this work items and I call it as like a B1. After 1 month, suppose I create 2 or 3 more work items, then I create another baseline, which is baseline 2. Whenever I move from baseline 2 to baseline 1, I will see only these first 3. And if I go to baseline 2, I will see the 5 work items. So that is the meaning for baseline. It is available for the complete project as well as for each tracker level. Like for example, I can just go and create a one baseline for this itself and so on. Okay, so this is on the baseline. Now the next is we wanted to cover is about flexibility. The for flexibility is that whatever you see here, the trackers, like when I go and click here tracker, I have only these attributes to update, but there is no constraint on this. You can have as many number of attributes, and you can also have a different data model altogether. You can tailor this data model. Therefore, if I go here and if I look at this, suppose if I go back to the tracker and if I look at this configuration diagram, you suppose right now these diagram, okay, whatever is selected, I am seeing like, from standard and regulations, I'm deriving user requirements. I don't want this traceability, for example, then you can break this traceability. Or if you want some more attributes for each one, you can add some more attributes. And then for every tracker, like for example, system requirements, when I go inside it, I have here like configure option where I can configure additional fields. Like, you have only these fields and I can configure more fields. I can go and create additional field of choice type or a custom type or a tabular field. You can create these different fields. I can change the workflow of this tracker based on my organization needs. So you can also change this. That is the workflow, and I can also change the permissions and so on, which I'll come to later. This is the flexibility. You can create your own fields. You can change your own workflow the way you want. Permissions. There are 3 levels of permissions in case of a Codebeamer. One is like when I'm in a project. Therefore, when you go to the admin, and here when you go to the members, here you see these are the roles of a project. Therefore, it is all role based. Therefore, roles, these are the roles of the project and these are the people. Now in this in this list, suppose if I just drag and drop one person in, like suppose I drag and drop myself and I call myself as development lead. So if you see here, there's one development lead. When I click here, it will show me that there's one development lead, and it also shows that there's one project admin, which is Srinivas, and this is, and I am here, and so on, and then I am also probably here. Okay, therefore it shows me where I am and what roles I'm assigned to. Now I can also put myself as a project admin, but I don't have this access to do this. Okay, so those are the restrictions which you can put in. So this is at a project level where you're defining the roles for the project and you're defining which users will be part of which role. Means you are doing a role assignment. Okay. Now, and you can also do a user to group and group to role. Therefore, that can also be done. So this is at a project level, but this will give you just an access to what these roles have an access. Where you define that, you define for the trackers. As I said, whenever you log in, these trackers think like this. No, these are more like a logical folder or logical container, and under each container you have the work items. Therefore, you're going to create work items. Therefore, the access rights are defined for each work item. Suppose if I'm a system engineer, obviously most of the system trackers I will have access. But suppose if I'm a domain engineer or I'm a software developer, probably I may have access only to the software, protocols and software, spec and so on. Therefore, this is how it is defined. Now, what you do is, suppose system requirements, you go in this, then you do a configure. And in this configure, when you go to the permissions, this is how you define that all the roles which you saw for the project. So those roles are here on the top, and these are the possible permissions set. And then you tick the checkboxes what these roles needs to have. Like for example, item view, like an item add. Now for the system requirements, who can add a new system requirement? That is the meaning of this. And these are the roles where you need to click to give the permission for adding a new system requirement. So that is the meaning of permissions. Integration, I just want to show you this, that it is very flexible. You can like for example, a picture like this, like when you're building this view model, you have a lot of integrations possible with most of the common source code management. That's point number one. You also we also support a lot of modular tools like the sysml and uml tools, where specifically when you're doing your system architecture or when you're doing your software architecture, you may need to use some external tools to do this, because those are the tools which support sysml and uml. You cannot create a sysml and uml diagram within codebeamer. Codebeamer is not meant for that. So just FYI to you. And then there will be a lot of scenarios where you will use a lot of different tools for your static and dynamic testing, and you can also use those tools and get this test result and put the test result back into Codebeamer, and so that you can have the traceability. So that is on the integration. Then you also have data exchange. If you want to exchange data with any external tools, like for example, if I go here, if I want to exchange data with any tool, I can do import export at a project level, and this is the place where I can do as a Rekif. Like if I want to import the Rekif from any sources, I can do it from here, and I can also do it from Doors. Apart from it, at a tracker level also, like suppose if I am into the system requirements, I also have an option to import export from it at a tracker level. And when I say import, again, I have this option from Word, Excel, Microsoft. Plus, apart from it, if I go back, I also have an option to import from Doors as well. So therefore, these are the options which are possible with respect to the data exchange. Now, when it comes to the dashboard, they are very easy options there. You already have the traceability and test coverage, which is which comes as a normal capability itself. But apart from it, you can always go and create reports. Therefore, I can always go here. I already have created one report here, but just to show you how do you create, you can just go and create new report. I just remember seeing a software architecture, something which had a lot of things. Therefore, I'll probably choose that project. I guess it was this project. And then under this project, there was I wanted to look at software architecture or system architecture. It was, I guess. Let me go back and look at system architecture and hit go. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, pick this project. Okay, this project medical software engineering template, and and I want to search all the system architecture. Therefore, it gives me a laundry list of all the system architecture here. Now, since this list is very big, I want to little bit slice and dice this. Therefore, what I can do is I can use the status. Therefore, I can just pick the status and say group by the status, so that I know that, okay, I can see based on the status. Okay, but it says that it's better to add a filter. Therefore, let me just remove this status, and I'll say that, okay, show me something which does not have any downstream references, because we saw a lot of system architecture was not having any downstream references. If I click this and I say I do not I want to see only those system architecture where there is no downstream references, then I see a little bit smaller list and I see two status still. So therefore I can still say that, okay, I want to group this by status, and then I hit go. And then it says that, okay, for new status are this much, and the waiting approvals are this much. Now, since it's from a template, it was all done at the same time. Otherwise, I could have done ordered by on time as well. But now I don't want to do ordered by on this time, but I can use, or what you can do is I can say that ordered by, ordered modified at, but you will not see any difference because all are at the same time. Okay, therefore just ignore this. Therefore, it's as easy like this to just to create a report, and then I can click this save, and then I can save this report so that I can later use it. And whenever you create any save reports like this, you can always go and check this all thing and then save it. Now I created into this project where I don't have much access, therefore I'll come out of it and I'll show you the dashboard. Now, once you have created a report like this, what you do is you can go back to your project. Suppose if I go back to your project, suppose any one of this project like WFN project. Now, every project has got a wiki report, and then you can create a child page, create a new child page, and you can create a dashboard for your own wiki. And you can just add widgets here. Like suppose I just click here and I go to chat, and like for example, I create this data source as one of the one of the report, and then I select what is the chart type, and then I see this chart type, and then I know I can put some other criteria, and I can get my report into this dashboard. But apart from it, there are a lot of out of the box widget types which we can just use it rather than writing queries or building or anything of our own. I just wanted to show one custom so that it's easy to understand. With this, we complete today's session.